So yeah, it is still the 20th of June, 4:08 a.m. to today a.m. right now. Always have to do that. And it is still Monday. So let's continue. Like I said, that was my post or whatever. And I had to be real. I had to give specific guideline examples of yes, men in fact do differ, even from your most agey, aggressive, masculine, whatever. I'm not just talking about, some girl who throws on a dress shirt and a tie. I'm not talking about, but your ultimate, most dominant, sexy, masculine, aggressive woman. Anyway, there's a difference. And, there's a certain vibe that is not there that you get from a man that you do get from a woman. And I'm not talking about even when you shout, hey, from behind, and you for the longest time you think that person is a man or is a woman, and they turn around, you're like, oh, you're a girl, or you're a chick, or oh, you're a guy. I'm not talking about that. When I say the vibes, like I'm talking about during conversating, when you're talking with them, there's the energy, and there's just it's different. I'm not talking about in a mall full of crowded mall filled with people, and you shout, hey, you drop something, and they turn around. The person with the long ponytail is actually a dude. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not all. There has to be a certain exchange of energy and connection, and like I said, within the vibe, within the moment, there's a difference that you get from a man versus a woman. Really. Yeah. I said, yeah, like voice, facial hair, muscle mass, etc. But I also get inclusive. Yeah, but I also get the inclusive, love vibe, right? And hey, sometimes I don't personally understand this, because I'm not attracted to just anyone at any given moment of the day. And no, all right, whatever they have between their legs, and whatever, again, that distinctive energy between a man and a woman, vibe is, I don't have that connection, so I can't, but I just threw this out there to try to be inclusive, right? To try to give some kind of respect, whatever. But I know, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes even I don't understand how people can be like this, how they can just be like pan or even asexual. I don't understand it. Yeah, I don't understand, like, what, I don't get it. I've read the definitions, and I've met, thorough amount of people who are either of the two, but I still don't get, like, how you can live like that. I don't understand that. I know when I say that, don't think, again, like, I used to get that all the time, like, people, well, how can you like girls? And, well, you're such a pretty girl. How can you feel like you're a guy now? Like, why? You're so pretty. And don't throw that in my face. That's not what I need. I don't need you to throw this back in my face, because, again, it's not going to absolve the feelings. You understand, like that? No. It is what it is. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying you woke up and you kind of decided, hey, this is what I'm into today, within the hour. This is what I want to do with my life, That's not what I'm saying at all. So, yeah. I said I get the inclusive, love vibe all around, right? For people who aren't exclusive between either sex, right? Or either, gender expression or whatever. I said sometimes you're just attracted to people as people, and sexuality and free forms of sexual natures are explicit and very fluid. I've learned that. And you may get the flag from friends saying that now you are not gay enough, you were never gay, you make bi people look bad, or like cheaters, etc. You may get that, But as long as there's good love, there is key. That's what I posted. And also, I also went back to post. To be honest, I was trans, going through the trans identity, and I know now I'm definitely just a queer folk, right? I'm me. I'm genuine, whatever me, Now wanting the full-on life that comes with being trans. The full-on life. Now, I get it. There is no one image of how to be trans. Yeah, you don't have to get hormones. You don't even have to change your name. You don't have to use different pronouns. You don't have to get surgeries. You don't have to get one surgery over another. You don't have to get a certain type of surgery, right? Like, no, I get it. I've learned that too. This is also taking me on a journey of much understanding on a level that I couldn't get to be honest, like, if I hadn't been going through my trans identity and everything like that, like, I wouldn't have been researching, especially not as thoroughly as I had been, right? The things I was researching, because at the time, this was something that I knew was going to affect me. I was planning on certain things I was researching affecting me and hitting me hard, right? If I continue to live my, just gay, life and everything like that, never reaching the brinks of what all it means to be trans on the deepest level, the things you go through as a trans guy, let alone a black trans guy, right? I wouldn't have known the depth of information that I know now firsthand and through actual experience, right? But yeah, it's certainly, it's a hell of a ride. But yeah, I said, I wanted to do, what is it? Yeah, I now know that I don't want the full-on life that comes with being trans. I just had to elaborate what full life of being trans means. Isn't one way to be trans. Isn't just one way to be trans. And I don't feel the same as I once did. It's amazing, actually, how this is truth about my life now. I did include that. I wanted to do hormones and surgeries. It was the need, quotation marks, because it was serious. That was the need, a necessity for my life and to carry on. Or else I couldn't live as I was, right, in the form I was. Like, my mind was just, my body was just so off, I can't even say now, like, they're perfectly aligned, but they're coming together, and I'm piecing the puzzles together to make them link up a little bit better, so it's not so distorted and it's not so chaotic and, troublesome, right? Because, that weighs heavy on your mind and on your heart. It really does, all that distortion. Like, when you don't even like yourself, like, the body that you're in, it's a lot. And of course, getting no support, whatever. Anyway, the post, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I explained more about how, I couldn't take it anymore, and, I had to change, and I just had to go through a metamorphosis, and I talked about how I was in a relationship, and I also had to do that at the same time while I was in a relationship, and how my girlfriend ended up getting a boyfriend. So, yeah, I just had to go all out. And furthermore, I got inspired to, furthermore, I got inspired to write my own stuff. To my women, whom I will address first in regarding to relations between trans men and women. How do you go through the process of wanting kids? This is for my women who do not want artificial insemination or adoption. You want your own biological kids of your blood and your mannerisms and nature, of you and your love and everything they are composed of and their attributes that they do. Projects as far as turning eggs into sperm, their stem cells are being done, have been for a while now, and I'm sure many have heard about the lab-grown penis work recently published. But both methods are incomplete at the moment. Plus, the lab-grown penis thing can't work for trans men. When I was going to do surgeries and go on hormones, become the full embodiment of the masculine me, Jonathan. Right? That's gonna be me, my name. I was crushed to invest so much hope into the imagination of my own someday fully functioning fleshy penis. With my own blood flow, ability to use the BR, and of course, give my wife children, and to feel my woman as me, not any other gadget or weird stiff implant that took away the raw connection that came from me making love to my wife. How do you women who feel, as I exclaimed above, right, specifically those women, want to have their own kids, no other man's sperm besides the man that they actually love, right? You're making love. Now, the process of love, you make a baby, the ultimate image of, your love. Love you have for each other. You exchange and you share between one another. And you don't want to adopt because, again, it's not your kids, right? You want your own kids. Now, you can love the kids, adopt the kids just as well as your own. That seems doable. It seems reasonable. If you want kids, hey, kids are kids, right? Take them anywhere you can find them, get them. But to be honest, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I could ever love those kids as deeply if I had adopted. If I had adopted, I don't know if I could ever seriously love them as deep as I would love kids that I knew, right? Distinctively, instinctively, as a mother, whatever, my feminine connections, right, to my own children. I don't know if I could love them as deep as I could love my own biological children. And that's beyond the stupid stuff, okay, let's say Jerry is my biological kid, and I give Jerry the bigger piece of the candy bar versus Stephanie, who's the adopted kid. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about on a actual energy, spiritual connection kind of vibe, right? Connection, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about versus, just physical actions I carry out between this child and the other child. That's not what I'm talking about. But the actual bond, right? The actual feeling, my child move inside of me, and then let's say when the child is born and the child is 12 or 7 or 16, the actual connection, that instinctive mother alert, that when that child gets hurt, it's you almost, you feel it, you feel your kids. That's what I want, right? Anyway, that's what I meant. And yeah, so I got deep and I got personal in this post I talked about. This was 2 hours ago. So this was around 2 in the morning. Like I said, I got deep and I decided to get real, right? Right? This has a lot to do with real stuff, reality, and about transmen. The things we go through. And of course, this main category is about the women of transmen. So yeah. Let's have an exchange. When you have a relationship between a woman and a trans man, regardless if the woman is by gender, gender fluid, cis, or whatever, right? Demi girl, demi boy identifying, I don't know. You have to talk to both of them, and it does include both of them. They're going to have different takes and different experiences as far as the relationship. A trans guy goes through, personally, that the woman, his wife, partner, his wife for 20, 50 long years will never understand, right? And vice versa. Things that the woman has to put up with and go through and, try to get by with day by day, and, vice versa, like I said. With dating that trans man, let's just be real. It's not like dating your average man now. Some things are the same. I'd say the general things, but however, even some of the most basic things are not the same. I'm not just talking about sex, but sometimes you're going to have to deal with that man, your trans boyfriend, whatever, having to become very comfortable around you. Even just holding your hand, right? Or even, giving you a peck on the cheek because maybe he doesn't feel as confident as the, within his manhood as he wants to be, right? But then he has you, his woman, his wife, his girlfriend, for 2 days, 2 weeks, 20 years on the side, and he knows that you're depending on him to I'm not gonna say man up, but he you're depending on him to be strong, for you, for both of you in this relationship, pull the weight. Maybe not all of it on his own, right? Because that's kind of what you're there for too, but to kind of build up and bulk up, right? Soldier up things like that, and be bigger than himself, be bigger than the problems ahead, and that way, if he takes care of himself, he can take care of you too, right? He knows that. In a way, he does. That's really what that phrase, man up, I feel like when, in regards to a woman, be a man, I feel like that's really what it, is directed at. But, yeah, man, I went into detail, and, I'm just reading a comment. I started talking about, like I said, I hit it up, man. I've talked about a lot of things that setbacks as far as a trans man, and you have to. This is a category specifically about women, in relations with trans men, or even any kind of relation. Trans men, a niece or aunt. These are things you have to open yourself up to, again, because you're coming from your cis. I take that as like the typical, right? You're coming from your cis hetero placement in the world. There are things that you'll never even imagine that this guy goes through. He has to deal with on a daily. He has to do on a daily to maintain his maleship, right, in public. Because if he doesn't wear that binder and he hasn't had surgery, guess what's gonna happen? He knows what's gonna happen. But to ensure that that never ever is a possibility, he does certain things. And also kind of somewhat for your reputation. Now maybe you're like, okay, well, I don't care, I'm out, I'm trans and I'm proud, or I'm the proud wife of a trans man, I love my man, okay? But still, people are crazy. You never know what they're gonna do. If your man is seen on the street one time, right? Let's say he makes videos about his transition, about whatever, and someone off the street spots him as, hey, that's that queer who, whatever, your man may not come home. Worse, if your man was caught without his binder one day, or maybe, he hasn't been able to supply himself with hormones, so maybe now his voice isn't a certain way like it used to be, or maybe he just doesn't, quote, pass well enough, whatever. If that guy is seen with you, that can also possibly put you in danger too. It's kind of like, even today, still, despite the progression, right, as it's called, of queer rights, whatever. And I don't play into that mess for a minute. Like, I know these general people don't, they still see queer people as a certain way. They still do. I mean, I'm not buying into the bullshit. Never get too comfortable around your enemy. Never get too comfortable, because the minute that you do that, you allow them to have complete and utter control over your minds and over your children's minds too, right? Or anyone else who is anything like you. They'll make you think that everything's good, that you're allies, but no, it's not like that. Because they come up and they stab you in the back, literally. Put policies and everything up against you to keep you and prevent you from doing things, and just living life, and even liking yourself. Like, it's crazy. And worse, turning other groups of people, races or whatever, against you, like, because they told them that you were bad. But turning your own race against you, like making you think, your own groups of people against you, making you think that you're bad, and against each other. You're all the same. Like, you all come from the same struggles due to the common enemy putting it against you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, they can do that. Because again, you give them all the power to do that. Right? What is it? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Y'all can't forget who the enemy is. You really can't. This inclusive crap. No, I don't buy into it. I don't. Not anymore. I used to. But I'm just saying, like, have that trans man be caught one time without his binder or any kind of unpassable thing. Let's say your man is pre-T, right? I'd say that's a really hard phase. I'm not talking about when you're trying to, just building up money for the surgeries or for the hormones or for the therapy appointments or whatever, gender therapy appointments. I'm not talking about that. But pre-T, that's it, all that other stuff is hard, but pre-T, that's a really hard stage, and there's no telling when it's going to end until you get that money to be able to do this and to be able to, buy binders and, buy more masculine clothing or whatever, societal masculine clothing, It's kind of the same thing like when two girls are holding hands or even two guys, like there's no telling that you're safe. Regardless of the media feeding you this bullshit of, everything's great now and you're safe and everything's great and much acceptance, much love, and America loves you. Yeah, okay. What's their hidden agenda, right? Because I don't trust the enemy. Not anymore. But really, like, you could still be walking down the street late at night, or even your girl, right? Because someone way back when saw you, the trans guy or the woman or whatever, right? The queer looking person, doesn't matter what branch of queer you are, like as long as you look queer, you're still kind of, you have something to look out for when you're out in everyday life. And you have to remember that. Y'all can't forget that. I know y'all like, yeah, I can. Alright, whatever. Y'all in for a surprise one day, I'm telling you. Yeah, like your girlfriend, suddenly she doesn't come home. Because why? Because someone ran upon her and stabbed her in the middle of the night. Because they know that she dates you or that she likes you or she has a preference for people like you, right? So, she must be queer too, right? Or let me teach her to love men. Let me teach her to love real men, right? It just sick. But again, you wouldn't know that. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's planning what against you. You don't know that. Especially when you let yourself be stupid and delusional enough to think that, oh, I'm good, everything's safe, right? Put this wool over your eyes like everything's good for you. No, it's not. You have to remember, this is not your world. This is not your world. You don't run things. You don't have to remember that. You don't run things. If you don't believe me, just take a around. Take a look around at the commercials, not your general everyday life, right? Things are not geared towards you and your kind of people. They're not. Especially, if you're black. You have to wake up. But I talked about finances and, my life and like the trans identity and, as it was as a trans man, like finances and relationships, and sexual frustrations and my fears as a man and trans man and, my sexual life, lack thereof, and how I felt ashamed for never really being much of a man and for, again, sexual reasons and spiritual reasons and just personal reasons. And of course, spirituality, I talked about that and, how I felt like I was going against God and going against nature and God was ashamed and, he was trying to, whenever things didn't work out for me as a trans guy, like I had like my setbacks, I felt like maybe that was God trying to, set me back and show me that I shouldn't be doing this. I don't know, like it was a lot. But I also posted this okay, my black brothers, this is a different post. How do you deal with being a black man in society? I'm not talking about the typical incidents of police psych outs, right? When you're walking on the street late at night, driving your car, being stopped for nothing, and then, being stopped for, going 3 miles over the speed limit or, turning too fast, right? Or eyeing the police officer and you looked like you were nervous, right? You looked suspicious, whatever. So they randomly stop you, some crap. They end up jerking a ticket or, getting some kind of citation out of you. But, oh, that's not it. Now they want to search your car. Now they're just going to you know, politely ask you to step out of the car and search your car, even search you, right? Just unwanted searches and seizures and stuff. Like, shoot, one thing turns out, one little thing, turns into the biggest thing, right? Then your whole night is ruined in your life. Suddenly you're paying fines or even facing a potential violation for a misdemeanor felony, some bullshit. Anyway, right? Stop for nothing. Or when you hear about / see the videos on brutality and the war going on of the police against you, strictly as a black man first, primarily. My black trans men need to understand that. It's not just, oh, because I'm trans, they know I'm trans. How do you know? How do you know they know that? Sometimes you be surprised how well you pass in society. You be surprised. Whether you're short, like I was, or you look kind of, a society deems effeminate, or you walk effeminate, whatever. Right? You're not the tallest. You're not beefy. You're kind of scrawny. You don't have facial hair. Your voice isn't the deepest, whatever. They get you. They stop you. They book you. They frisk you as a black man first. It's not, oh, let's go stop that queer. Look, queer isn't written on your forehead. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there's some telltales, there's definitely some attributes, right? That can kind of give the correlation that, okay, I think she's queer, right? Like me and how I dress, right? Typical telltales. Got that charm though. Or even, as a guy, like how you dress or how you don't dress and how you walk or how you talk or whatever. Like, these things are kind of common at this point. Like, it's nothing new. It's nothing that should be like, oh, that's so offensive. That's so discriminatory. No, it's really not. I mean, hell, even your average hetero cis people. If you asked, and if they had any influence that you were just another common cis hetero person that's, not really any threat or whatever to them. In other words, you're not going to act offended. And they don't expect you to be offended because they're not talking about you, right? They don't presume that they are. See, the funny thing about some people, they're going to talk about you, but they're going to do it behind their back when they know you're not here, you're not present, you're not listening, you're not watching, right? But they're still definitely against you. They're just going to be against you while you're not looking. And that includes certain groups. Again, groups have alliances and they form bonds and unions. Gives them unity, gives them strength, gives them numbers, right? Makes them feel included. I mean, this is true with the queer community and the hetero community, Shoot, races and people of financial statuses and things like that, right? Their country clubs and shit. Anyway, right? That hetero person, they think they're talking to another hetero person. So they're going to start making their jokes and their remarks and their puns or whatever about queers or fags or whatever they call us or whatever. And, then you're going to drop the hint. And you're like, oh, actually, I am actually queer or whatever branch of the queer community that you are. See, then they're going to wish that they could take whatever they said back. Because, right, they're expecting such an immediate outlash from you and, whatever. Because they know now, oh, snap, you're actually part of this, right, alliance, this community, this certain group. Maybe they're going to say something in response. Because I know I just said what I said. I just made the remark I did, right? So, they're not going to say it to you. They're not going to say it to your face, But even they know they're telltales. Even they play into the jokes and the, whatever, the slander and all that crap. Tranny, faggot. They play into it just as well. They're just not going to do it around you. And even so, people in the queer community, they certainly do. even they like make jokes against the hetero community and cis people. I mean, yeah, I've heard it all from both groups, right? But I'm gonna tell you, of course, like they even know like the telltales, so don't feel like, oh, this is offensive. No, everybody knows. Queer or not, everyone knows, okay? There are generalities, that have been exemplified time after time after time when it comes to people who are queer of a certain, range, right? Whether it's gay or whatever branch of the queer community. But really, like I hear trans women, the phrase that they introduced me to, I didn't know of. They talk about people being able to clock their tea. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what? Really clocking their tea when people can tell. Just a couple of days ago, when I was at my college, I did ran into a black trans woman. I think, I don't know. I can't really name pronouns or whatever, but definitely could tell naturally born male, black, and they had like on a wig on or something and shaved legs. And I mean, I just, you can. It's not offensive. I mean, it is what it is. I can tell. There's a difference between that and being an asshole about it, and specifically being out to get you or hurt your people, right? But really, I made it clearly known. I said, the war of the police against you, strictly as a black man first, primarily. Like I said, there can be some telltales. The hetero community are not immune to our telltales. They're not immune to it. They're not. But I feel they don't just stop you and frisk you just because, oh, you're just doing this because I'm aromantic. No, they can't tell your sexuality. I mean, besides the telltales that kind of go along with some of the natural general attributes, right? That a gay man is said to do, or a gay woman, how she's said to look like, how she's said to dress and talk, or whatever. Besides that, when you go out day to day, this melanin, right, never leaves your skin. And as soon as you step out the house, right, you'll always step out of the house black. But to any other person, any other stranger, they can take you as whatever kind of gender identity or sexual identity that they want, that they assume. So you need to realize it's not just, cause I'm, it's just cause I'm bi. I can't tell. I can't see that. But see, the pigmentation of your skin tells me directly that you are an Indian or East Indian or Arab or whatever, Middle Eastern, something like that. Or you're white or you're Asian. I don't know if you're Vietnamese, from Taiwan. I don't know. I just know that you're Asian of some sort, okay? Chinese, Japanese, I don't know. I can't tell the difference. But I know the general signs of a particular group. You understand? But I said, yeah, in this post, strictly, the police are against you strictly as a black man, primarily first. Not because they know you're trans, although yes, that may be part of the future stemming problems you may have legally. But the day-to-day grime and things you do to, quote, get by, maybe in a purposeful, unnoticed way, right? You live your life because you're trying not to get on the radar, right? Get on the radar, right? Of, you may have to watch this black guy, right? You just kind of live day to day, keep your head down, go unnoticed, and try to be as, quote, white as possible, right? Live out as white of a lifestyle as possible. Well, it doesn't matter because they still stop your ass because they don't care. They don't care because even though you may look at them a certain way, like they're not looking at you like that, when they look at you, they know what they see. And that's just so much. They don't ever forget what they see. The first thing that they see automatically on you. Yet, I find that black people, with all the community, to where we want to, number one, act like we're supposed to do the same, right? Act like we don't look at people, I just know we certainly, I don't carry out, I've never been one growing up to carry out treating people differently based on things. If anything, I received that kind of treatment growing up. It was the reverse. With only kind of people, number one, who want to pretend like we don't notice pigmentation of skin. Secondly, we want to pretend like other people do not notice pigmentation of skin and do not do the things they do, say what they say, hold it against us, hold us accountable, whatever it may be, because we are the pigmentation that we are. Y'all feel me? Let's continue. We try to delude ourselves so much. Like, nah, man, y'all gotta stop with that. It's this inclusion crap. It's really not. I gotta get over that just because you want to try to be safe. You want to try to, put on this camouflage of, oh, if I act a certain way, they won't get me. No, they're still gonna get you, right? Maybe you have that one random incident in your life as a black person, as a black man especially. I feel like the darker you are, especially, and the more beefy and more tall you are, you're definitely gonna get it. Oh yeah, you're gonna get it. I feel like if you just get by and if you adapt yourself to their lifestyle, right, you assimilate, right? No, it ain't gonna cut it because they're still gonna be looking at you different. They're still gonna give you like this kind of offset, off-putting vibe whenever they shake your hand, whenever they hesitate to shake your hand, or whenever they dart their eyes around the room like they don't know what to do with you, right? Because you're the elephant in the room. You're the only, dark skinned, taller, deep voice, right? Barium voice, black guy. In like the 9th grade, 10th grade, filled with all these other white kids. It's not, this world of no one notices, okay? They notice, and they're certainly going to carry out the same way that they've been carrying out, treating you, whether you realize or not, why certain things operate a certain way, right? They're going to continue on doing what they're doing. Doesn't mean they're going to tell you, because why would they do that? Why? Even if they do, even if they tell you in a mocking kind of way, teasing you, what can you do about it, right? And they know that. Right? This is not our world. This is not our world. You need to wake up. You need to realize that. This is their world. And they know that. That's why they continue to be the way they are. Now, I said not because they know you're trans. I said that may be, future problems. That may stem from future problems. Right? But because, obviously you're black. And you're of a greater threat. Right? I've done other things like where I've talked about like, I understand, and it even pisses me off too, how I feel like the majority of the black community, how they are and how they act, right? So y'all can go check that out too, like, so you're not like, oh, you're a hypocrite. No, I'll admit to it. Yeah, I have a certain view. I do. It's a very, at times, in the middle kind of view, but I always remind myself, I have to love my people. I have to put my people first. You know what I'm saying? Like, gotta help them get it together. I have to continue to help try to educate and push them forward, right? The whites, they've done a good job so far in deluding us and keeping us in their little box. But at least to help the children coming up, we can have a few generations of a few good black leaders and black people who can break down the barrier and the illusionment, if you want to, for our future black children coming up. So they can know how to handle things in this world, and they can know how to take things and then sway it to be as they want it to be and how it should be. How it should be. For them in their lifetime and their children and their children's children. Because for my present lifetime, my children, if I ever have any, my children and my children's children, in comparison to all those little white kids I sat next to in math class, English, history, for all the years coming up in school, white school, right? With white criteria, white education, right? Borderline education being taught to my black ass. Well, just ingrained in my head and what's truth and what I should believe. All this false bullshit. Being forced to say the pledge. Even though when I was like, 8th grade, I really started to pay attention to the lines in the pledge, and that's when I stopped. That's when I stopped saying it. That's when I stopped believing in it, because I paid attention to that one line. What is it? Under in liberty for justice, for justice and all, something like that. And I said, no, wait a minute, that's not right. For liberty and justice for all, that is not right. That's really when it was the cutoff. I stopped believing. And that was like a little wake up, I just looked around the classroom and all these little meerkats. The 2 or 3 other black kids that were in this white class, right? They just standing up saying it, just mindlessly saying it, mirroring it back, right? Now I just shake my head like, poor fools. They don't even know. They probably still go on and they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know like what they're mindlessly agreeing to. Slave. But really, all the white kids I sat next to, I have to do things, and I hope that we can continue to do things in the black community, have better leaders, stronger leaders, more knowledge, right, coming up to help teach our children and their children's children to give them better lives. Coming up to make this their world, you understand? Their world. So they don't have to do the things that, if I ever have kids, that my children and my children's children will have to do to try to survive in this world that is already against them. The same way that those little white kids I sat next to, their children and their children's children, the things their children will never ever have to go through, never ever have to think about, never have to cross-contaminate in their lifetime. Their white children and their white children's children. Oh, well, boo-hoo. No, man, this is not just a boo-hoo. It's not just a situational thing, because that's anywhere you go. I've learned that now. It doesn't matter if you're in the ghetto. It doesn't matter if you're in the suburbs. It is the common enemy, still, at large. Shoot, when you're in the suburbs, man, they be watching. They're just watching you all the time. That's what it is. All over you, just watching you all the time. If you're a black man, especially, right? You're that one black family in that white neighborhood. Maybe 2 out of 3 black families in the majority white neighborhood, right? But again, it's really messed up. That's how we as black people feel like we make it. No. You haven't made it if you can afford those suburban houses in those white neighborhoods, because guess what? Now you're just constantly surrounded by the enemy. Your children, you're just growing up around. Anyway, it's the same class of white people that are always against you, always going to be watching you out of the corner of their eye and making sure, you're not, doing things, and, just making sure that your children will never, interact a certain way with their white children. It is the same crap. Shoot. Only takes one of your white neighbors, right, to make a phone call to the police and say that, they saw you stealing this, or they saw you doing this, or they think that you raped their daughter or took their daughter, something like that, whatever. And then they ruin your life. And why is that white neighbor so easily believed, even though you have evidence that proves that you weren't here this time, you didn't do this, you weren't doing that, you weren't wearing this, you didn't say that, right? Why are they so much more easily believed? Again, by the cops. Well, who are the cops? Still, white-based system underneath an even bigger white-based system. This world is not for you. You need to wake up. But yes, I said, but the day-to-day grime and things you do to get by, maybe in a purposeful or unnoticed way, or not in society. What new treatments have you encountered being a black man on a day-to-day? Applying for, at your job, applying for, or while at your jobs, right? Applying for jobs or even at your jobs, current jobs. Have you had to go about situations differently in life? Either reacting different, not react that much at all to something compared to how you would have before, being seen as a less harmless, right? Less harmful black female in society. That's important to put. Less harmful. They're not scared of a woman, they're scared of a man, right? A man has certain physical power that a woman doesn't. And that's universal. That is what it is. Alright? Now, if you're a smaller person and a bigger person, well, I mean, it's kind of safe to say on a general basis, bigger person, if they're thicker, right? The more, beefy person, whether they're lean muscle or just fat, they're probably going to be able to just fall on top of you, squish you, and then win. You know what I'm saying? Or punch you a couple times and knock you out. Right? Not much of a challenge. I mean, it's kind of the same thing like with a man versus a woman. I mean, maybe not all the time, but I feel like universally there's a certain strength there that a woman doesn't have. She's not built to have. It's not just about the build of the body, so men appear, bigger, they appear stronger. No, that's just literally, that is what it is. If you've ever encountered anything like that. And it sucks. It sucks. Sometimes it really does. Speaking from a woman's point of view, it does. It sucks. But anyway, back to the post. How is interracial dating now as a black man? And I also said, keep in mind, all the white woman has to do, I'm being 100% here, is make one police call and ruin your whole life. Because there's already odds against you, despite this world's false advertisement of inclusion. And I'd say any woman can make that call, regardless of height, eye color, or background. That's very much true. It can be a black woman, right? It can be a Hispanic, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're clued in automatically as guilty. You're already suspected as guilty. They're not going to come out and say that. They're going to do, cute little false, fingerprints, and, they're going to check for fingerprints or whatever. They're going to do a investigation, right? But I feel like the evidence, whether you're actually guilty or not, is probably going to come back to the same conclusion majority of the time. And not just, oh, well, he's a man, he must have done it. You have to look at everything. Look at everything before you just assume. But anyway. I said, leave your comments, even if you've dealt with or haven't dealt with the police / certain treatments. And much will be appreciated if you do. Thanks, y'all. Also, this video is good for brainstorming further on the topic in comparison to your own thoughts by black trans men. And it's literally called Living with Racism in Black FTM Transition. Yeah. It's a nice video by this dude right here. It's not the best little picture or whatever, but yeah.
We're all socialized into a society that stigmatizes and penalizes blackness. Another behavior change for me since beginning my transition was sort of monitoring my responses to certain things, so I'm not seen as angry black man. This is the most I think of all the things I mentioned so far in terms of how my behavior's changed, I think this is like the weirdest one for me. I mean, I remember being in situations where, um,
Yeah, I'm gonna follow up more because I know it surprised me. Like, it really did. When I happened to first randomly, see this video, it was completely random. Like I just said, I just stumbled across it. I think I was looking up, uh, timeline videos of black trans men specifically because I got sick and tired of seeing white trans men. I got tired of that. Like I wanted to see someone that mirrored me, right? I wanted to see a body that was somewhat of my flesh, and shade and posture and, looks and comparisons. I wanted a deeper reflection of myself because I know there will be plenty of times trans guys, white trans guys, because when you type in trans men, what do you get, right? You usually get a bunch of white videos of white guys, right? That's usually what you're gonna get when you type in trans men. You have to type in specifics. You have to give a specific description just to get trans men. Maybe that means that black trans men just aren't posting as much. Who knows? But yeah, I just think that's a little bit weird. It's even been said like in the black queer community that yeah, the white queer community definitely is more open. They're more broad, and they get more perks. Definitely, there's so much openness. Like anything and everything is good and acceptable. It seems. So yeah, um, I mean that's also what I've heard. That was another video though, whatever. And even then, when I heard it, I agreed. This was like a year ago, whatever, a year or two ago. Even then, I could say, oh yeah, that's right, you know? But I had to do a follow up because a lot of the things that this guy says, this is my first time watching it. It was unbelievable just how much I could distinguish. I could go, yep, yep, yeah, man, oh, dang, yep, I've dealt with that too. Yeah, yeah, the exact same thing. It's really weird. I'm talking about like the inner, like thoughts and psychological, emotional feelings from whatever situation he's talking about. And he doesn't get all emotional and start crying and weeping. But I'm telling you, it's freaky how close it was to the things he's talking about. He has to try to, mimic, and the things he has to try to let go. Natural things that are naturally a part of himself, and mannerisms and societal things. He's like, yeah, ever since being a black man, I've had to let that go. I can't do this anymore. I can't say this. I can't stand like this. I can't act like this. No. So I'm going to go into further detail and just basically further explain how deep the connection is. But I'm out, y'all. If you made it this far, congratulations. And it is 5:01 a.m. It's Saturday a.m. And